This morning, a hopeful sign that the U.S. is hoping to cool off the heated tensions with China. At an event yesterday, the U.S. ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns, said the two countries need better communication channels. And he added that the Biden administration hopes China will, quote, meet us halfway. Those comments come amid high tensions between both countries, sparked by several events, including a visit by former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan, and more recently, that Chinese surveillance balloon that entered U.S. airspace. NBC News global security reporter Dan Luce joins us now with more on this. So, Dan, first of all, what more did Burns say, and why is the Biden administration making this move now?
Burns said, Joe, that the U.S. was ready to talk. It was really a pretty loud and clear signal, kind of an olive branch he was waving, saying, yes, we have these disagreements, but we want, these deeper communication channels to restore some of the talks they had with different departments at cabinet level, Treasury, Commerce, and the Pentagon that have been canceled or shut down as tensions have soared. But of course, the ball is sort of in the Chinese court right now.
So, Dan, talk to us about the tensions that have been brewing between both countries. Is it possible for both sides to actually have productive talks despite all these problems? And what would that even look like?
So that is the key question. There's so much mistrust on both sides. But I think we've seen the model in the past, both in the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. And as much as there was tension there were these communication channels and hotlines that did help diffuse tension sometimes, bring down the temperature. And then we've had more communication with China in the past. And it's really in the past several years that it started to deteriorate, and then it's really gotten bad in the past maybe 2-3 years. And so I think the U.S. feels that there are issues they can talk about. They can talk about climate. There is some common ground there. They can talk about the global economy. Even if there's a lot of disagreement about trade, there's still a huge amount of business done between the two countries. And so there is a feeling in Washington that there still is ground to talk about. And even if you disagree, you can at least understand where the other side is coming from and avoid a major crisis.
And Dan, if the U.S. and China cannot mend these relations, tell us what's at stake here.
Joe, these are the world's two biggest economies, the two strongest militaries now, and the stakes couldn't be higher. And a lot of governments and a lot of countries, especially neighbors of China and Asia, are very anxious about this. They want to see more dialogue between these two governments, because if it goes off the rails, it jeopardizes the whole global economy. And then the worst case scenario, of course, is you have some misunderstanding, some incident, a collision at sea or in the air, and you have an unintended war or conflict that nobody wants. So very high stakes, and we'll see if there is some dialogue that emerges later this year.
All right. Dan Luce. Dan, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.